America. Welcome once again to Thoughts on Teens in Focus TV show. We are happy to have you on Thoughts on Teens in Focus, and today we are going to talk about let's talk Guyana, let's talk community, and let's talk about the talk of Guyana, because we know that Guyana is experiencing some situation right now. And I know that you're a political man, have been and will be a political hero for Guyana. I know that you were down in America here in New York, and you all had a protest march of what is going on in Guyana through the U.S. Embassy, through the U.S. Embassy that is causing all these problems. But one thing I have learned from Mr. Chuck Schumer, I don't know if you met him. Chuck Schumer told me that the U.S. ambassador is the one who is in charge of U.S. embassies, and the America or the Congress or the Senate has no authority to voice the opinion at the U.S. ambassador. They own and control that entity of theirs. So when most people telling me about the U.S. With the U.S. Embassy, I said, when the U.S. ambassador give a report, we have a blackboard, give a report to the State Department, the State Department take that as their word. They don't believe anything else that anybody else say. And if you notice around the world, this is the type of thing causing a lot of embassies and the leaders don't get along, and then they start abnormal situation in your country. Mr. Norton is a political person for the APNU party, a member of the PNC, and they had YSM, yes.
Now the Guyana Youth and Student Movement.
Okay, now Guyana Youth and Student. You're a long hero of the YSM into all the political parties. Should have been the president by now, but so far you didn't get the opportunity to be a president or a leader for Guyana in so many ways. Mr. Norton, however, is from Georgetown, Guyana, and he will give us some more knowledge of himself, because he has such a long doctorate. I think he's Dr. Aubrey Norton, right? You has that Dr. Aubrey Norton?
No, I'm not Dr. Norton.
Oh, you're not doctors yet. Well, I would say you're a doctor in political science or political knowledge of Guyana. You should be there by now after working so long with the government. Mr. Norton, welcome once again. I'm Patricia Trim, your host for Tots on Teens in Focus and the CEO founder of Tots on Teens. And also my co-host and engineer is Mr. Joseph Gabrielli. He is working in the studio or probably from his home. So Mr. Norton, I will ask you to introduce yourself so that people can know you more than I know of you.
Okay, now let me say, first of all, thanks for having me and a good afternoon to your viewing audience. Essentially, I began my public life in the youth arm of the PNC. I did a lot of youth work beginning in 1972. I was Guyana Youth Representative to the United Nations in 1985. I did a diploma in political science, a bachelor's degree in political science, and a master's in international relations and the international environment. I would say I've been involved in politics. I served as a member of parliament. I served as general secretary of the party. In the last government, I served as presidential advisor to President Granger and as head of migration in the government. So I've had a long political career as well as a public service career, because before that, I served as a diplomat in the Guyana Foreign Service, having responsibility for the United Nations Non-Aligned Movement, among others, and represented Guyana at the UN a number of times, including other meetings that were outside of the confines of the UN. So I would say, basically, I'm I've been involved in politics, I've been involved in foreign policy, and I have also been a community worker. I lectured at the University of Guyana for many years in a number of areas stretching both political science, international relations, and leadership, among other things. I would say in a nutshell, that is a kind of a synopsis of who I am.
And I will say that's a doctorate, having all those knowledge about politics and of Guyana and the things that you did for Guyana. But we will go right into our discussion because time is against us. And before this topic that I would like to talk, your views and concern of Guyana, a developing country, in terms of ideology, democracy, unification, and foreign policy.
Well, first of all, Guyana has a constitution, if honored, can lead Guyana into a democratic society. Unfortunately, the present government doesn't honor the constitution. And the tendency is for us to face the dictatorial nature of the government. In fact, for those who are following what happened in Guyana, only this morning at about 3 a.m., the Guyana police force went into the home of a young businessman named Orrin Boston. I think it's Orrin or Orrin Boston at Dartmouth. The young man, it is alleged, ran under his bed when he heard the police breaking down the doors. They went in and shot him in the presence of his children and his wife. And so at present, the execrable course is in turmoil and protest because we are seeing the return of the police being used as extrajudicial killers. And that creates tension. But it is fairly well established that whenever the PPP is in government, these things happen. Their tendency is not to pay attention to law. Their tendency is to seek to control, dominate. When I was in New York, I was pointing out to the Guyanese there that they have no interest in democracy. They have no interest in the rule of law. Their interest is in domination, control, and racism. All of that has resulted in a situation where Guyana is fastly moving in the direction of a dictatorship.
I'm glad that you were able to talk, and I would like to use my platform to song my voice and persons to song their voice of what is going on in Guyana, because other countries use this system to voice their concern about their country. And sometimes I want to know why, you will ask people in Guyana, come on the show and talk, because this is the way that other countries was able to revive from their political systems that they have in their country. But somehow, when we speak only to Guyanese who can do nothing. And we're not speaking to people who has ears to hear to sound their voice. Because we, as for the politician, hey, don't worry, because they look at us when they want to be to have a vote, when they want to go in, then they remember the Guyanese. Otherwise, so that they don't. But sometimes we have elected officials in high office who look at our TV shows to see what's going on. You have people in the movie, the celebrities who look at our shows, and they will see what's going on. And if we are not crying out, then who is going to cry for us? We're going to cry among ourselves, but we're not crying to the right scenario. As I said, that when they came, they should have not had a march in Brooklyn. The march should have been at the White House that we could have.
Well, I gather they are working on one for Washington, D.C. So I sense at some stage it will be taken to the White House area.
Okay, because is America got us in this, and Americans need to get us out of it. And we should stop fighting among each other when we should be dealing strictly with the State Department of this situation that is going on. My next question to you, your role as a political hero, but yet you are denied leadership by political leaders.
Well, I would put it this way. First of all, I don't think to give leadership, you necessarily have to be the leader. I have been given leadership without being the leader. At present, I am preparing for the Congress where I intend to run for leader of the party to become the leader. But having not been the leader did not prevent me from working among the Guyanese people, developing the support, and for them to buy into my leadership approach and style, so that when the time comes at the Congress, at the People's National Congress reform, I will be elected leader of the party. And so I believe, first of all, that leaders can contribute even though they are not the leader. You are still a leader. When you become the leader, then you are leading the political party and you're in a better position to initiate your vision, the changes you want to see, and to be involved in the mobilization and organization of the party to regain power. For me, the most fundamental thing for us to do at this stage is really to organize ourselves to be able to regain power, which in fact was taken away not by the ballot box, but by the intervention of then Secretary of State Pompeo and the Republican Party, who, for whatever reasons, some of which we know, one had to do with the Guyana-Venezuela territorial controversy, where they were asking us to put a radio station in the Northwest to beam at Venezuela. And we felt that that didn't make sense to us. It didn't serve our interests because we have a territorial controversy with Venezuela, which is going before the International Court of Justice. And we didn't want to be accused of being involved in the internal affairs of Venezuela and therefore creating the pretext of Venezuela to do something outrageous. And so we refused it. And as a consequence, we saw the US operatives at the time, led by Ambassador Sarah Lynch in Guyana, teaming up with the then opposition, now government, doing everything to ensure that they got the PPP back in power. Now they are back in power. We're hearing some murmurs from the ambassador who is complicit in bringing this regime to power illegally. And so I believe we need to continue the struggle. We need to continue to expose Ambassador Sarah Lynch until some decision is made for her to go away in peace, because in large measure, her actions together with the British, Canadians, and the European, their actions have placed us in a position where we are now governed by an incompetent regime, and the incompetence is manifested in the poor handling of COVID. It is manifested in the poor handling of food relief. It's manifested in the increased cost of living, even though they purported to have reduced taxes. The cost of living is still rising, while at the same time, they are not delivering wage increases to our people. What that means as a logical consequence is that the nominal wage, the real wage of the Guyanese workers, the real wages are going down. And so Guyanese are worse off today. Of course, the ruling elite has access to resources through corruption. And we have seen an increase in corruption in our society in virtually every area of operation. Okay. We've also seen in the society the manipulation of the police in the case of the two Henry boys who were slaughtered. And it is believed that the people who actually did it were PPP-linked persons. The police have been used to cover it up and charge people who clearly were not involved in it. And then when we add to it today, the police execution of Boston in the Essequibo Coast, then one sees a trend of repression and dictatorship, inclusive of the use of COVID as a dictatorial tool. What we have seen in Guyana is some places that are close to the PPP business places are allowed to open and flout the COVID rules, while if you are not linked to the PPP and you're considered or perceived to be close to the opposition, then COVID is used to repress you. In fact, I had the case recently, I think on Monday, when I was out they came claiming that I was violating COVID. And I said to them, look, I had on a mask. One, two, the only people that were 3 feet and close to me were the police, and I can't move y'all because y'all come to arrest me. And then I said the third element of COVID is the curfew from I think 10:30 in the evening to 5 in the morning, but this is bright daylight. They subsequently withdrew from talking about me violating COVID and suggested that I was involved in an illegal procession. To that, I told them in no uncertain terms, you came and met me on Regent Street while whatever procession you were talking about was on Vicinian Road turning to come in our direction. And therefore, I could not have been involved in an illegal procession. Clearly, I believe they are targeting me because of the political work I'm doing. They're targeting me because I'm exposing their racism and I'm exposing how divisive the government is. And so I'm prepared because I know one of the strategies of repressive regimes is for them to try to instill fear in people so that nobody will take them on. I've already made it clear to them that I will not be intimidated. I will continue to represent the people of Guyana and to do everything to ensure that there is regime change in Guyana and Guyana gets a government that will serve all the people of Guyana rather than this present regime which is dictatorial and serving an elite and a wealthy few at the expense of the majority of the people in the society.
So what you will say that what is going on, it is the hands of the US government or the US ambassador who is dictating or resist the oil scenarios that they have there? That is the cause of it, or they mean just to keep Black people down? Racism, they should have racism and hate by the government, governed by political individuals or party members?
Well, it's a combination of things that have caused it. One of them, I think, is the coming of oil and the recognition that Guyana now has all of these resources that can contribute to the development of Guyana. I think they wanted a regime that they can control, and the PPP is easily controlled because historically they have been linked to narco trafficking and trafficking in people, and many of the key actors are on the US radar. And if they can exercise that control, then they can use those as swords of Damocles and control what the PPP does. I also believe that the previous government in the United States...
Trying to go back and forth because we're getting you half head and no head.
How come?
Because every time you go forward.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm saying it's a combination of reasons. For instance, I believe that they felt that with a PPP regime, they will be in control. When you add to that the fact that the PPP itself is not interested in the development of Guyana and they are interested in the accumulation of wealth and corruption, then one will understand the predicament that we are in. And they knew this because in the previous 23 years of the government, the PPP was involved in the settings that they are now involved in. And so with the change of administration in the United States, we have been bringing this information to the attention of the present administration. We believe the last administration did not believe in law and order, as is manifest by the actions during their 4 years in government. And so there was a kind of similarity between the Trump administration and the PPP administration. And therefore they were comfortable with the illegality.
Could I say this? When we had a big parade in New York here, when the APNU party won the election, Mr. Granger came up to New York. He went to the White House, whatever they told him, he just went straight back to Guyana. And I think that is why a lot of people just did not appreciate the way that we acted, because people go all out here to make a celebration. And he never stopped him, he just went his way. And,
This issue was raised with me while I was out in the United States. Everywhere I went, that was the complaint. And like I've said to them, there's a team of us in the party who are prepared to reorganize the party, reinvigorate it, and to stay in contact with our constituencies, both at home and abroad, so that you will not have a recurrence of that kind of aloofness.
Because as you know, Mr. Norton, I'm the first person to interview the president in America here, put him on Brickart media. I'm the person who say the spirit of Bonham rise in Granger and he should be president, because nobody knows. I went around and do a lot of talking and a lot of getting people involved. And he never yet one day said thank you. And
Well,
I think that is the thing about it, that a lot of people are very hurt about, that
Okay.
they just don't care what happened in Guyana. They're sorry for people, but the appreciation is not being given, and it happened all the time to every person that come to America. They go there, you try to do this to them, and when they go, and people complain when they went to Guyana, right after they get into office, they shun people like throwing water and duck back. And so, you know, people said, even at the studio that I am at, not this studio, another studio, the people said they gave so much money, they sell this, they do this, and they do that, and not even a thank you or an appreciation. So, you know, to come and ask people again, they must say, hey, y'all got to do it yourself.
Well, the truth of the matter is that I've had good response while I was in the United States. And
yeah, because people were saying that you should go in and not Granger, that you should go in and not Joseph Harmon, because that is what they're saying, give you a chance. So that's why you get that good support.
What I'm saying essentially is that I think what has happened has been recognized, and the party under my leadership and the leadership team that is likely to come into office will rectify that. One of the things I've argued all the years is that we need to go back to Burnham's tradition of being in contact with our people on the ground and being in contact with our people in the diaspora. In fact, I would go a little step further and say that we need to work out with the diaspora a memorandum of understanding as to how we move forward when we get power, rather than leave it at the whims and fancies of individuals. I believe the diaspora constitute a quality human resource that we can access. I believe the diaspora provides the opportunity for us to create think tanks that can help us. And there is also in the diaspora capital that we can invite to help develop business in Guyana generally, and African Guyanese business in particular. One of the things I've said,
I think the first thing that you got to do is get rid of the police attitude, that because people are not going to come and police is going to rob them up and shoot them down and all the way like that. Police need to go if the State Department is in control or working to control Guyana, then they need to move those police out of the way.
Well, one of the things I will give Granger credit for is that the police that improved in the last 5 years. There was a lot of training. There were the removal of many who were involved in illegalities.
What are they doing? What they left off with Granger? They start on another rampant.
Well, they have gone back to encouraging the corruption in the police force.
Well, you got to talk about now.
Yes, and that is why I said to you that we really need to address the Guyana police force, have it depoliticized, and ensure that the police operates based on law. What the PPP does.
They're not going to do it, Mr. Granger. Mr. Granger, Mr. Norton. They cost some to that. We need to have probably overseas policemen taking charge. We don't need policemen that we have there and they are ill-treating people and things.
It is not totally true to blame all policemen. There are a lot of policemen in the system that are prepared to operate in the proper way. However, they
will be removed if they try to do that.
No, but there are some who have compromised the police force, and those are the ones we will have to get rid of and give the police force a new lease on life. Bringing police from overseas might have positive, but it has its negatives. In the final analysis, Guyanese have to rule Guyanese properly in keeping with the rule of law. And that is the objective we will set ourselves and ensure that we pursue. I have faith in the human resource in Guyana. We migrate and we do well overseas. This is just for us to create the environment here that will allow people to operate based on the rule of law, earn a living, and live a dignified life.
Okay.
For 23 years, the People's Progressive Party put
Kill
on the
our
front,
black young people. They kill
and they
our
put-
young black people, men. They kill
As well as-
fathers and mothers and grandfathers. They kill black people. I think you all just want to put this thing over so nice. Let people know that the policemen and the PVP government kill black people.
Okay, but it is not, that is true, but also they have created a culture of corruption and lawlessness. And so some sections of the society begin to buy into it and tend not to look at the moral and other values of the society and focus on the get-rich-quick syndrome. All of those things we will have to deal with if we're going to transform Guyana.
Well, I do hope that when you get inside there, it will be a change of a difference. So I could come home and I could know that I can walk down the road and I don't have to be afraid of anybody come and knocking me down or sleeping when the night come, you know. Thank you all for listening. That was Tots and Teens in Focus with Patricia Trim, featuring Mr. Aubrey Norton, candidate for the APNU AFC party in Georgetown, Guyana. See you next week.